All right, let's talk about lineup construction. Looking at the Darlington Xfinity Series race, pool is in or got added to the DraftKings pool. I haven't pulled it yet. I'll probably do that later tonight and update this. Pool, however, will most likely be the one guy going home because there is 39 cars attempting to qualify for this race, so I doubt Brendan Poole will do it. In whatever the situation is, if he qualifies, he knocks Dawson Cram out, whoever the case is. We have a situation to where we do have guys at the very bottom here that are very viable when building lineups, that are very playable when we're getting to the guys we want to. And the reason I'm starting down here is because I think this is the most important part of the weekend approach is deciding where we want to go in terms of the value drivers. Let's go ahead and start with Chris Wright driving the Brandon Brown machine. It was a situation when we looked at Watkins Glen. I mentioned, like, look, and it's the same situation here. Like, look, Chris, all you got to do is get through the race, my guy. You just have to survive. You don't got to do anything crazy. You don't got to do anything stupid. There's no reason to go out there and try to make a name for yourself, even though names are made here in the Xfinity Series. There's no reason to do that, okay? And what happens at Watkins Glen? They have a motor issue, and he ends up not finishing the race, okay? In a situation where he was priced very similar, in a situation to where we look at Watkins Glen, the poor guy finishes 34th due to an engine failure or mechanical failure. When we look at Chad Fincham, when I look at how Chad races, it doesn't concern me. Him at men's salary, well, not men's salary because Poole is men's salary, but for realistic sakes, as I said, I don't think Poole makes the field, all right? So Chad at $4,700, I think that is perfectly fine. If I had to rank everybody down here, and let's probably rank them down from Ryan Vargas down, even though I think Vargas and Tommy Joe might be a bit too expensive. I don't want to play Tommy Joe because he's in the BJ McLeod car, and we have seen a continuous decrease in speed, in reliability, in finishing percentage from these cars. I'm not exactly sure what is going on with BJ McLeod. We've seen a lot of drivers go in and out, announce deals with him, and then pull out of deals, have, drivers leave. We think it's on bad blood. They come back. A lot of things are going on, with Josh Williams, with, even Matt Mills and not being in there consistently. We're seeing a lot of issues, and behind the scenes, it isn't really apparent of what's going on. I'm not necessarily going to annoy people on Twitter asking, like, what's going on with BJ McLeod. I can just look at how the cars are performing and stuff. And so the fact that Tommy Joe, look, he's in a BJ McLeod car. He's in a car that we haven't seen perform very well this year. Okay, consistently, as we saw last year, they were up there. As we've seen in years past, they're consistently up there. I'm not saying Tommy Joe is going to DNF or start in park or whatnot, but I would kind of limit expectations and projections to having Tommy Joe finish maybe around 28th or 27th. Okay, and so unless he's starting towards the rear of the field, I can't justify going to Tommy Joe. The same thing applies to Dawson Cram for the Gase Motorsports machine. And so for me, I don't see myself using 5,500 Tommy Joe Martins. I don't see myself using Dawson Cram. I don't see myself using Brendan Poole. Okay, so the drivers that we have left when we're at the bottom here is Mason Massey, Ryan Ellis, David Starr, Curry, Wright, and Fincham. I think this is very much dictated on how much salary you need for your remaining drivers. I mean, granted, what are we working with? Around $600 between separating these, 7 guys or whatever? I think it is very much a situation to where if you like your 5 to 4 drivers that you have on your line, you're going with whoever you're stuck with, okay? I'm going to try and prioritize, and this is just, we haven't seen qualifying yet, but I would try and prioritize Ryan Ellis and Mason Massey. The reason is because I think people go to David Starr. I think the ownership kind of centers around David Starr, specifically when we look back at how Starr, let's go ahead and look at these 3 guys specifically. And if memory serves me right, as I look to the right, also, if you want access to the sheet, if you want to support me, support Pearce, support the videos, support the work, not only do I do live streams every Sunday and Saturday, I also have a Patreon that Pearce and I go in and work on. Put a lot of time and effort into it. Feel free to join the Patreon because it is September 1st. Off the top of my head, Mason Massey has had a lot of good finishes lately this year, but I am going to keep this on Ryan Ellis just so we can look at these 3 guys specifically. So, I mean, as I move to the right, I don't know why I'm talking to you like you don't know how to read a spreadsheet. I fully believe in you. I'm not going to look specifically at race rating here or real rating here, mainly due to the fact that the Xfinity Series has consistently been kind of crazy late in the race. Okay, and so if we're seeing, and specifically at the intermediate tracks, yes, Mason Massey struggled at Las Vegas, but check out where he finished. He did increase his running position. When we're talking about these guys back here running outside the top 20 for most of the race, even though Ryan Ellis has had right on the cusp of a top 20 running position each and every week. When we look back here, these are guys that are not wrecking out of races. These are guys being able to take advantage of people being stupid, wrecking out later in the events. And so let's go ahead and actually look at finishing positions real quick and see where these guys are. All right, we have seen an increase lately from Mason Massey. I think this is why he's in my head so much, is because we've seen him finish well at Michigan. We've seen him finish well at Pocono. We've seen him finish well at New Hampshire, Texas, Darlington. And the reason why he's sticking out to me is because look at his average running position compared to where he's finishing in these races. Mason Massey, and actually that's way more consistent than I thought it was. I was thinking more that he was running in 30s like earlier this year. We're seeing that Mason Massey is running times mid-20s, okay? He's able to finish where he's running. That's good. That's what we want to see, certainly for a guy at $5,300. When we look at Ryan Ellis, we certainly see a higher ceiling. However, we see certainly a higher ceiling, but the floor, I would argue, is lower because Ryan Ellis is most likely going to be starting in the low 20s, okay? And so this is a situation where, yes, Ryan Ellis can perform. Ryan Ellis can show up and finish 13th. We have seen that multiple times, finish inside the top 20. However, we're giving up potential place differential that Mason Massey might have, that David Starr might have, that Bailey Curry might have. Why is Bailey Curry oh man, I gotta go. Oh boy, this will get all fixed by the time you guys are here. We need to fix this because it is not pulling the finishing positions for good old Bailey Curry. Oh boy, give me a second. Hold on. Actually, I don't want to mess with it right now because I'm probably going to mess up other stuff. We'll get this fixed by the time you guys see this anyway. It's not even in the public folder yet. When we look at Bailey Curry's finishes, going back to the tracks that we want to focus on as I at least move to the real rating here. So I'll be looking at the intermediate tracks here, or at least tracks that show important speed. 30th Michigan, 26th at Pocono, which is a bit unfortunate since we had so many incidents and so many people having issues at Pocono. 10th at Loudon, Nashville 31st, Charlotte 15th, Texas 24th, Darlington 23rd, Dover 36th. He actually ended up blowing. Bailey Curry had an engine issue at Dover. When we look at Las Vegas early in the year, 18th, 20th at Phoenix, even 34th at Fontana, despite the fact that Fontana was early in the year. So when we look at where he's running based on where he's finishing here, we are seeing that these guys are able to gain positions. I think that Bailey Curry is probably going to start maybe around 29th, 28th. And so when we get to Mason Massey, Ellis, and even Starr, and Bailey Curry, all as an example, I would prefer Mason Massey, Ryan Ellis, just trying to get different. I think, and especially in this range, I'd like to try and pay up and get to Mason Massey because I think that'll make the lineups be different enough. And Mason Massey is probably going to have more place differential than these guys. I think Ellis is going to outqualify Massey. I think Starr is going to outqualify Mason. I think even Bailey Curry is going to outqualify Mason Massey. And so in a situation where I'm paying up for multiple guys up here that are going to come and absolutely murder the field, we're going to be fine there. Also, Denny Hamlin, he's not racing. They have added, They've added Christopher Bell to the pool. As you can see, all this stuff was pulled yesterday around noon. We'll update this. Don't worry by the time you guys see this. Very funny that, dude, I made a rant video and decided not to upload it because I think it went down too many different rabbit holes. The main summary was that, come on, NASCAR does not care about safety. If they cared about safety, they would not be putting drivers into vehicles that are clearly compromised by the structural integrity Cup Series guys. That is. It is very funny in this day and age, 2022, we have Hamlin stepping out of the car for this Xfinity Series race because of the injuries he sustained at Daytona. Okay, now I'm probably using the term injury very loosely, but I would classify Hamlin's soreness as injuries sustained from the big wreck at Daytona this past weekend. Anyway, looking back here, and the reason why I'm focusing on this stuff is early builds are leading to me using two guys in this range. I think we can very easily build lineups that do go up to Kyle Weatherman, that do go up to J.J. Yaley if he starts in the back, that do go up to Jeremy, that do go up to Anthony Alfredo, okay? But the builds that I'm looking at, the way that I want to build right now, and how I think the optimal lineup ends up going is you end up chasing Kyle Larson, you end up trying to chase Allgaier, you end up trying to chase Gregson, you end up trying to chase Christopher Bell at 10-9, okay? Because this is a situation where, yes, Hamlin's out of the event, but when we look at how Ty Gibbs has performed at this race, and also Pearce has put out a ton of content this weekend, yet again, I'll put those videos in the comment section below. But when we look at how Ty Gibbs has performed at this racetrack, it is a situation where Ty Gibbs has struggled here, and Darlington was a situation where he got put in the wall. He got damaged earlier this year. He wasn't able to finish up front compared to how he was running. But still, we're seeing that there is a gap between Ty Gibbs and the rest of the field. We're seeing Gregson and Allgaier be able to run this track specifically, but be able to have the skill level and consistency throughout the entire race to stay up there. Now, I think those are the only two drivers who can compete with Larson, that can compete with Christopher Bell. I would not be shocked to see Larson finish first, Bell finish second, Allgaier third, Gregson fourth at the end of the day. I think that is how pricing should have been. I think that's how they should be in pricing. I think Ty Gibbs is overpriced. I think Chastain is overpriced, basically because I don't think Chastain's going to lead laps here. I don't think he's going to get fast laps here. Okay, at this point, we're not, in my opinion, we're not playing Barry. We're not playing AJ. We're not playing John Nemechek unless we get a ton of place differential opportunity from these guys. We understand that John Nemechek is going to have a fast car. We understand that he's most likely going to finish around 8th or 9th. It just depends on where he qualifies. If John Nemechek qualifies 10th and we got him projected to finish 9th, we just can't play him. If we got him projected to finish 7th, we just can't play him. We're playing AJ. We're playing Barry. We're playing Nemechek in a situation where we need to see them being able to win this race. With how stacked the top 4 drivers are going to be in this race, I think you only can build with those 4 drivers, and that's Larson, that's Bell, that's Allgaier, and that's Gregson. Getting to 2 of those guys is very easy. Getting to 3 of those guys is very doable, especially if we're paying up, if we're paying down here for 2 drivers. It's very easy to get the guy who's going to be running first, guy who's going to be running third, guy who's going to be running second. Don't know why I went in that order, but not only are we getting the top 3 running position cars, we're getting the top 3 guys who are going to be able to score fast laps, score laps led, and be able to swap the lead on pit road if that is dictating how the course of the race goes. Okay? Because we're going to have a situation where there's going to be huge tire fall off. Okay? If anybody spins here, if anybody gets loose, they're down a set of tires. They have to run on an older set. They have to run tires a lot longer. We're going to have gigantic fall off. This is a race where we're going to have probably in the first stage, probably up to like 24th lapped. Okay, by the end of stage 2, we might only have like 16 cars on lead lap here. I would not be shocked if we're fighting amongst, single-digit cars on lead lap, because the fast guys, the guys at the top who are going to be running fast, are going to be well above the caliber of the other drivers. Very funny that, Kyle Busch ruins the Xfinity series, okay, but Larson can come in, Bell can come in, and they're going to absolutely mop the field. It's not even going to be close. It's not even a contention, okay? So, can we just bring back the rule to where these guys can run as many laps as they want? Can we just bring back Kyle Busch, please? I would love Kyle Busch just come in and wipe the field each and every week. And it's why I'm like, man, it'd be awesome if Kyle Busch didn't race Cup and he just came to race Xfinity full time and won every single race in the entire year. That'd be awesome to see. So when we're looking at builds and stuff, the reason why I like this, and I kind of went over it, but here's an example of a build. Larson, Bell, Allgaier, very easily 2 of these guys from 5,300 down. You got 70, anywhere from $69 to $7,500 left, if not more, depending on who you play. Yet again, it leads very much to where we can get to Burton, we can get to Clements, we can get to Anthony Alfredo. Or if we don't want to be as aggressive getting, the top 3 running positions, you don't have to. You can just get the top 2 running positions. Let's say, because I truly believe it's going to be Larson, Bell, Allgaier in the top 3, most likely Larson, Bell running 1-2. We don't have to necessarily get to Allgaier. Allgaier is the best guy in the field for the Xfinity Series regulars, but can he show the speed to beat Christopher Bell for second. We need to see that in practice. We need to see that backed up in qualifying. If Allgaier can show us top 3 or top 4 speeds across the board in the practice laps and then end up qualifying top 3, I think we can look at him, passing Bell to run in second all day. It all depends on how aggressive you want to be in terms of chasing the top 3 running positions, because it is very easy to do. These guys aren't priced. The 11.5 is not too much for Larson. 10.9 is not too much for Christopher Bell. 10.2 is not too much for Justin Allgaier. I'm going to try and get 3 of them in there. If you want to go 2, you can very easily get to the 8K range, and this range is going to be somewhat interesting. Maybe this is a situation where this race truly is a 2-lap leader type of event, and you need somebody like Brandon Jones, who has statistically this has been one of Brandon Jones's better track, and I think that's due to the fact that he has ran this so many times, regardless of the field, to where he can run in the top 10. It just depends on if people are going to run to issues. It just depends on how far back he runs. When we look specifically, and I think this is a situation where it is okay to look at track history. When we look specifically at how Brandon Jones has ran here, sure, he won in 2020 in the fall race, but he put himself in position to be there. Finished third, in the spring race last year, ran into issues in the fall race. But look, this is a situation where recently we have seen Brandon Jones, and whether it be his skill, whether it be the lack of skill from other people, he's probably going to have a top 7 car. Can he run to those not luck, but can we realistically see situations where Brandon Jones at $8,500 can be value? Okay, I think it is viable. And I think the way we get to that is if Brandon Jones starts around 18th to 16th, I think he's worth a shot. I think he's worth a throw, specifically for like a top 8, top 7 finish, maybe 2 fast laps. I think that's an interesting way to go. Same thing with Austin Hill. I would be interested in taking Austin Hill and Brandon Jones in a situation where you don't want to mess in a situation where you aren't building with Larson, Bell, and Allgaier in mind. Okay, those are the only 2 8K guys that I'm really looking for. I don't really want to play Ty Dillon. I don't really want to play Sheldon Creed. I don't necessarily want to play Landon Castle. I don't want to play Myatt Snyder. This is how I want to go with. This is a race where we can easily play the top 3 guys, and I think chasing the laps led and the fast laps are much more important than chasing a place differential play, unless it's just pure chalk, unless we have to absolutely eat the chalk and burn one of the 3 plays that we could allocate towards the lap leader on a chalk place differential play. I think that's how I want to go about it. Maybe you guys like this, maybe you don't, but just looking at how salaries are laying out, how I think the race goes, I think that's how it is. And so, yes, practice can sway me off people. Like if Ty Gibbs goes out there and is absolutely killing the field in practice and is shocking me by running faster laps than Larson and Bell and Allgaier, okay, well then maybe we need to readjust this and focus more on Gibbs or something. Right now, I'm not playing Ty Gibbs. I'm not playing Chastain. I'm not playing Barry. I don't want to play AJ. I don't want to play Nemechek. I don't want to play Sam, So we got 4 guys up here that I want to try and play. We got multiple drivers down here that we can mix and match and cover a lot of bases, and that's how I want to approach it. That's my approach. That's my opinion. That's how I'm looking at this race. I think this slate is going to be really fun to build lineups for. 8,200 people in the contest. I think we can cover bases. I think if at least with me, if I'm being aggressive with these guys down here and these guys up here, I think we're going to be fine. I think we can get lineups that nail both lap leaders, that nail almost nearly every fast lap, unless somebody has to pit in a green and starts stealing fast laps or something. I think that's how I want to go about it. Hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how I want to approach it, how I think you should approach it. I think this is a race where it makes a ton of sense to be very aggressive on paying up for 3 guys, if not 4, and paying down for 2 guys near min salary. I think this is a slate that allows that, okay? And then qualifying will just dictate how aggressive we want to be on certain guys down here and where the ownership is going to go. And very similar to kind of Daytona, not necessarily let's play the guys in the back, but ownership is going to center around whoever's starting farther back here of these guys, in my opinion. And I think it's also going to be based on salary. Like, Anyway, we can use qualifying to try and determine where the rest of the field is going to come in on ownership back here. But those are my 2 cents. That's where I want to go. I think the pool for this race right now is like 11, 12 cars. I think you need a condensed pool, and I think this is a race where you want to be very aggressive with that pool and just, build a lot of lines. I think that's where it's at. This is a slate that I don't necessarily like for single entry. I don't necessarily like for cash. I don't necessarily like for 3 max. I think this is one where I want to be very aggressive with the same type of build and just try and outperform the field on multiple lines. So thank you guys very much for listening, and I will talk to you in the live shows on Saturday and Sunday. Thank you for being here.